Hey folks, do you like testing? Well, that's what this video is about. Back in the spring, I was contacted by the folks over at Content Refined about testing out their service. And I said I would do it, but only if I got to report exactly what happened. And then instead of doing a 2 to 3 minute results video, the content manager over at Content Refined actually agreed to be interviewed so we could talk about the result. I want to be clear, this was for education, for learning, and for fun. You will see the links to the service down in the description, but those are not affiliate links. So if you decide to use them or not, there's no financial incentive for me. And finally, before I roll to the interview, for 2 lucky viewers of this video, we will be giving away upgrades, the same upgrades that I went through in this sort of experiment, and the instructions you will find in the interview. The giveaway is going to be done on November 30th, 2020, so if you are catching this video after the fact, I'm sorry, but stay tuned for the next contest or giveaway. They happen when they happen. And as always, if you have any questions or criticisms or comments, please go down to the comments section of this video and leave them. I can forward those to Narcissus. We can even record more content to answer those questions or address them in my regular live stream. All right, let's go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Before we get started, before we talk more about this project, please do me the favor of just taking a minute and telling us who you are and give us some context so we can build on that for our conversation.
Definitely. Yeah. So my name is Narcissus. I'm the business manager at Content Refined. And, quick elevator pitch of what Content Refined is we produce high quality content for a number of clients, portfolio owners, for their websites, mainly affiliate sites, product review sites, things like that, to help with their organic traffic.
Awesome. Well, to give everybody who is watching this a bit of context, so you actually reached out to me earlier in this year, I'm guessing in the April to May range, and you actually offered to provide your the Refine service, the take some old content and fix it up service to me for free, and not in exchange for anything, not in exchange for a positive review or anything. Like you said, here, let us try this and let's see what happens. And so I did. It's like, sure, you want to take 2 pieces of my content and work on it? Like, go ahead. So that's what we did. So I went to one of the sites that I bought through Empire Flippers, and there's a package of those that I've reported on a couple of times over the years here on my channel, and I just gave you the URL to the site, and then your team actually went and picked out 2 URLs. So I didn't know which ones you were going to pick. You came to me and said, these are the ones that we want to pick. And what was it about those URLs? You're like, these are the ones. I mean, was it like a random or was there something about those that, without giving out the URLs, but what about them said, these are the ones that we should work on?
Yeah. So it's based on a few. The way we kind of dig into our content audit, if you want to call it, when we do content upgrades, is we take a look at the client site or sites in this case, and we basically run them through, like Ahrefs, SEMrush. We just dig into them kind of manually, take a look at the sites, and we try and get a feel for where is the traffic. A lot of sites, as many people know, a good chunk of the traffic goes to kind of the top 5, 10, 2 pages, whatever that may be. And that's kind of where, like your money pages are. And so we try and take a look at what those are, how they're performing, and then where the other pages kind of fall. So that, in terms of traffic, in terms of keywords, in terms of backlinks, things like that. And so we don't necessarily try and upgrade your worst pages. And obviously we don't upgrade your best pages, because the best pages are going to be doing the best. They're going to already kind of be optimized to they're going to be at their ceiling, right? And the bottom pages could be upgraded, but it doesn't necessarily mean they need to be. So we try and find a middle ground of which pages have the most opportunity for an upgrade or to be optimized fully. And so what we look at is, let's say, just as an example, one page is ranking for 1 or 2 keywords that have a lot of volume going to them. But that page isn't getting a lot of that volume. And those keywords, might be some low hanging fruit keywords that don't have a lot of competition around them, or, the top SERPs aren't really that great. And we think there's some wiggle room there to boost those up. And so those are the kind of pages we look at. So those are there's kind of this fine line of figuring out which pages have the most opportunity and aren't optimizing on it. You know what I mean? So like a ton of volume going to a certain keyword, your page is only getting a really small portion of it. There's some wiggle room there to increase the traffic to those pages.
Awesome. So we got the URLs and I said, all right, go ahead. And then I basically got, rather than like the updated content, what I got back was sort of an assessment of the suggestions. So I could pick and choose from those things of what I needed to do. And actually it was interesting because this site I had bought, right? And it has hundreds of pieces of content on it. And I discovered that one of the products that one of the pages it's actually about was even spelled wrong, which I didn't even know or realize. And so that was one of the potential upgrades, was just simply spelling the name of the keyword, spelling the keyword correctly. And so I was able to go through and say yes, no, maybe on some of these things. And then I went ahead and said, sure, go ahead, just do everything that you want. And I honestly didn't know how long it would take, but I would have to say that within a few days, I had my content back. And there was also an offer to have your team actually go into WordPress and go ahead and upload that content. And I just chose simply to do it myself and then redirect the URL because the keyword was even wrong in the URL, and basically just got it up myself. And it was not a difficult process at all. It basically was you guys doing everything and giving me the stuff. And then it could have been easier, but I just went ahead and did it myself. Is that typical for what people would expect with the service? I mean, is the turnaround time usually a couple of days, or did I just get the super upgrade because I was going to talk about it on YouTube?
Yeah, so because we only did the 2 upgrades for you, it only took a few days. Generally, most people do 5 to 10 upgrades, which takes about a week or 2, depending. It really just depends on the amount of articles that we're doing. So yeah, typical turnaround time for what we did for you, definitely, a few days. The more articles you do, obviously, the longer it takes. But yeah, we try and kind of keep that to at least within a week because, obviously, some people need their content really quick, or if we have holidays coming up like we do right now, a lot of people are trying to get that content up before that holiday season so they can get those keywords ranking and traffic going to them.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to call these URLs 1 and 2 because they're preserving the content about them. But basically,
Perfect.
1 and 2. So we'll start with 1. And 1 is a page that was originally published in 2017 in the fall. And basically, it had been performing on and off kind of well until the fall of 2019 and was slaughtered in the October 2019 Google algorithm update. So I tracked the stats basically starting in January of 2020. And in January, it got a whopping 24 page views. And at its height in October of 2019, it was getting around 500 page views a month. So it went from 500 to 24. And then in February, it got 73. In March and April, it got 113 and 118. So you could see small lifts, but it's hard to say, honestly, if this was the result of the page recovering or if this was the result of the pandemic, because there are some sites, and my sites in particular, that were influenced in a positive way as a result of people sitting at home with their phones, just constantly scrolling. So this site overall saw an upswing in traffic as a result of the pandemic. But I will say that the domain as a whole has since flattened out. So I'm looking at the numbers sort of away from the pandemic just because of what I've seen the domain do. I think the pandemic traffic has passed for the most part for that domain. But in May, it saw 169.
Yeah.
And then in June, before the upgrade, we saw 219 page views. And so in July, in the middle of July, was when the upgrade was delivered. So in July, we saw 264 page views on the original domain and then the redirected, corrected URL. So 264. And then in August, it was about the same in the 260s. In September, it was 242. And again, this just sounds like normal fluctuations in traffic. And so when we talked about this in September, you're like, hey, should we report on this? And I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how we're feeling about this project. I mean, it is better than January, right? But we did the upgrades in July. And so it's may or may not be doing anything, right? And then in October, this page had 515 page views. So we went from the low to mid 200s to over 500 page views a month, which was basically took it back to where it was in 2019. And then so far in November, we're 24 days in. And so it's seen 318 page views so far. If you average it out, it's about 397. I don't know what it's going to do for the rest of November, but I mean, anything could happen, right?
Yeah.
So that, and I don't think I hadn't actually shared that data from my end from analytics. So you're actually hearing it for the first time because you've just been watching it, I'm assuming, on Ahrefs.
Right. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
so does that match what you were seeing on your end though, as far as what you were estimating the keywords were doing?
So yes, a similar kind of, if you were to draw out kind of the numbers you said, similar to what I was seeing. Obviously the numbers are a bit different, but they're going to be when you compare, Ahrefs, SEMrush data to actual analytics. But yeah, same kind of like start, a little bit of a bump, steady, and then has seen kind of, a fairly large spike, call it, in the last couple months. Both with traffic and what we're also seeing from Ahrefs data is the organic keyword rankings have gone up as well.
Now, looking back at what we did, what you guys did, and what I did by posting it, I mean, what do you think was done to this article can you pinpoint what was the origin, what was the reason for the content to improve?
Yeah, so can I pinpoint exactly? Probably not, and I probably don't want to try to because I'll probably say something wrong. But I think that's a fair statement to say with anything SEO related, because anyone that understands SEO, there's no one thing, right? There's no magic kind of key that unlocks rankings in SEO. It's kind of it's a whole number of things, and depending on what your niche is or what your website is or what your content is, topic, whatever, it can be, one can outweigh others, right? So but I can't kind of go over what we did to the content and what we generally do to the majority of our upgrades to help see these rankings. So with upgrades, because we're taking existing content and trying to essentially, I don't want to say make it better, but make it better in terms of rankings and readability and SEO, there's kind of a number of things that we do. So first thing that we do is, and this kind of comes during the audit process as well, we take a look at, what content is already there. Is it, and we can compare it to competitors too. So, is the amount of content, the word count in that content, enough to cover all the topics or headings, subheadings, questions that need to be covered within that target keyword or topic. And then we can compare that to the other top SERPs. Like if people are writing 2,000 word articles on a topic and your article is 1,000 words or sub 1,000 words, then obviously word count isn't the end all be all, but we kind of need to maybe increase that word count and get more content in there that's relatable to the topic. So we take a look at that, and then we obviously, as a part of the upgrade, we add a certain amount of words to the content, and that varies depending on what the topic's about. Then we take a look at marketing use data. We take a look at what headers what questions are people asking when they're searching this topic or keyword. Are there any kind of like FAQ questions in there that we need to add, things like that. And if they're not in there, if they are in there, we look at, how else can we optimize this content? Because at the end of the day, obviously SEO is its own beast and there's a bunch of things to tackle there, but we need to make sure that the content read level is high, and that what the content is providing is valuable to the reader. Because at the end of the day, that's what SEO is. It's providing value to the people searching for that term or that topic. So kind of update the entire content from that standpoint. And then on top of that, we take a look at, what links are in the content, whether they be product review links, like, affiliate links, making sure all those work. What we see with a lot of content is, especially like older content that was published a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, people kind of have it sitting on their site, and a lot of the links will either be not working, they'll be broken links, they'll be out of date, the products won't be available anymore, sometimes even like their affiliate code isn't in there properly. And so like little things like that, because that not only obviously boosts the content, but if you don't have an affiliate link working, you're not making any money from that content either way. So we make sure all that's updated. Any just general external links, we make sure all those are working, leading to the proper websites, making sure that the link that where the links inputted in the content is relatable to what it's linking to. And then we also, kind of general grammar, stuff like that, make sure everything's edited properly. And then we kind of, on top of all that, we upgrade it and optimize it with a, tool called MarketMuse, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. And the reason we use MarketMuse is because for the last 2-3 years that we've been doing this, MarketMuse has just provided pretty amazing results for us and our clients. And it's, so far hasn't proven to not work. So it works really well. It provides us the tools we need to optimize it. But then there's also a bit of, manual kind of, we don't all put all of our money into one basket. I forget the saying. Anyways,
put your eggs in one basket.
We don't put our eggs all in one basket with MarketMuse in terms of just optimize it through that and that's it. There's a bit of manual stuff that, manual optimization that goes in there as well. So that's kind of the, general overview of what we do with content for upgrades. Obviously there's, each one differs depending on what type of content it is, whether it's informational, product review, a Versus article, things like that. But yeah, that's kind of the overall, and a lot of that kind of seems simple. But sometimes it's, using tools like MarketMuse and digging into what the competitors are ranking for, things like that. That's kind of what we look at to make sure that the content can be upgraded properly.
So I got this upgrade for this particular URL for free. If somebody were walking in off the street, what would it cost them on, can you give me a per word basis, or is it a project base, or how do you price this?
Yeah, so upgrades are priced a little differently than our content, obviously. For upgrades, we price them in different packages. So you can get a 5 upgrade package, a 10 upgrade package, or a 20 upgrade package. For a 5 upgrade package, it's $800. A 10 upgrade package is $1,440, and a 20 upgrade package is $2,560. And so each of those per upgrade, the price goes down with the more you get. If anyone's looking for a customized, if they just want 1 or 2 upgrades, we can definitely do that as well. Yeah.
So it's different than having new content created, because I couldn't just say that 1 upgrade is worth so many cents a word, because in the upgrade, you're taking into account other work that needs to be done on it. So it may mean that you would be in the hole to write 5,000 words or something to try and put it on par with the other articles that are currently ranking for competing with that URL. I mean, is that one of the potential outcomes or the benefits of buying per upgrade rather than doing a per word type payment process?
Yeah, exactly. That's why our upgrades are priced a bit differently, is because, maybe one only needs, 500 or 600 words added. Maybe another one needs 1,000 words added. And then it also depends on kind of what the content consists of, how many links need to be checked, how many links need to be added, removed, replaced, things like that. So it is priced out a bit differently, but it's at the end of the day, the reasoning for that price is makes sense.
Yeah, well, I'm just sitting here thinking, you say, okay, if I had a piece of affiliate content that was already 2,500 words and wasn't performing, and I was maybe getting ready to try and launch this piece of content again. I mean, it's not just adding more content. Theoretically, for this product, this upgrade to be worthwhile, you could actually be getting somebody who is an experienced affiliate marketer to potentially help you with your content, right? I mean, it's not just adding links. I mean, you might even be adding words, right? Or paragraphs, or potentially good marketing, copywriting to these articles?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I think a lot of people, when we say, we're adding words to your content for an upgrade, a lot of people think we're just kind of cramming new content in there. But a lot of the time it's, taking a look at a certain, let's say, paragraph or section of a piece of content and potentially changing a bunch of things in there. And within those changes, we add a bunch of content to their.
Man, I totally wasted this. I should have went and got my affiliate content that I really wanted to make money from, and I should have sent you that URL instead of letting you guys pick.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you should have. Well, That's your own fault.
Yeah, it is, because I didn't know. I didn't know. I was so busy, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to do this." I was like, "Sure, just you go ahead. I've got other
Yeah.
stuff to do." Like, oh my
Yeah.
god. Well, because I'm sitting here, I was listening to you talk, and I say, "Okay, well, if it costs $500 for this, that, or whatever, or $800 for this, that, or whatever," I mean, some people will look at that and say, "Well, maybe I should just go get new content written." But what I'm hearing though is maybe I have a lot of content that I've written that isn't performing that well. And maybe if I just go buy more content using my same strategy, that probably won't perform that well. And maybe this is a chance to actually have some other experienced people not only improve my content, but maybe there's some stuff I can learn from it also. Because looking at how the content is set up, I could use something like that to actually make up a template for myself in the future, and could really be more valuable to me than just simply having an article that maybe performs better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what kind of that pre-content audit process is for, right?
Mhm.
And that's why I kind of, you mentioned it. I sent you, here's like a bunch of suggestions, then we pick two, or you pick two that you
Mhm.
want to do. I'll always kind of do that with everyone I work with. I'll always send them kind of a handful of suggestions of, here's the content that I think needs to be optimized the most, and then which ones do we want to focus on. You let me know, because obviously you're going to have more insight into your analytics and stuff like that. But yeah, and sometimes I'll even just chatting with people, kind of going through their content, I'll try and provide some advice on here's the top 10 pages that you might need to upgrade, or here's where a lot of your keyword rankings are. Why don't you create some new content around these topics and have those as pillar pieces, and then have some more supporting content around it. And so I think that's kind of from my perspective, that's what I try and provide, is that kind of personal insight to say, hey, here's where your site is, here's what it's doing, here's where it's performing really well. Why don't we kind of take advantage of that?
Yeah, and that's something that people won't necessarily see when they just go straight to the checkout page, right? To see what it costs, because they
Right.
might not necessarily understand what other value that would come out of that versus just a couple more blog posts. Because you can go to
Mhm.
buy, sell, text and send them some money and then you get pieces back. But if you are in a place where you don't necessarily know what good content should look like, or it is, or how to create it, then that could be a viable option to get some help to maybe take a site that's performing kind of okay, or maybe not that good at all, and put it into position where it could perform much better.
Yeah, and that's what I try and do with everyone. I mean, even if someone just comes to us and says, I'm only doing 1 month of content with you and that's it, I'll never spend money with you again, I'm still gonna obviously, well, whether it's an upgrade or fresh content, we're going to provide them with high quality stuff.
Mhm.
But then I also want to leave them with, here's how to best optimize your site, because I'd rather just leave someone with that and then be able to go and do it, and then maybe come back to us later, maybe not, it doesn't matter. But I'd rather leave them with that, because then it provides them with some sort of value, rather than just, you order this, here's your content, see you later. So I always try and jump on a call with people. Let's go through your site together. Where do you see value? Where do I see value? And then we find that middle ground to, keep building the site, keep building that content.
Well, what's really interesting is Article 1 that we have been talking about so far has actually jumped into the top 10 performing articles by week, which was surprising to me because it, was kind of doing okay. And then
Mhm.
that's what kind of made me sit up. I was like, wait a second, is that article? Because I just check analytics like once a week. And so I just looking to see what the top 10 pages are doing, which ones. And it jumped into like 7 or 8. And I was like, interesting. That's when I was like,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. Because I hadn't really been paying that close attention to it. I was just sort of letting the articles do what they would do. And then I would go back and check. But then it's like, hello, pay attention to me. And so it was easier to be interested in looking in more carefully, because I was curious, like all of a sudden very curious to see what was going on with it. Let's talk about Article 2. So Article 2 was
Mhm.
one that was created in 2017, and this one performed terribly always. This one is basically one that has gotten like 1 or 2 visits a week, maybe, since since Google Analytics was installed on this particular site, I didn't create this content. I don't know why the original site owner created this content or bought it or whatever, but there it was. And so in January of this year, it had 2 page views, and then in February it had 1, in March it had 1, in April it had 0, so it got 0 sort of pandemic traffic.
Mhm.
In June it got 1 and or 2, and then in July, during the month of the upgrade, so people going to the page, it got 17. And then in August, it got 3. In September, it got 1 page view. And then in October, it got 89. And then in November, so far, it has gotten 61. And I think I averaged it out. I think it's on track to be in the mid 70s. So both of these articles popped in October. And when I say popped, I mean, 89 page views from 1 or none to me
Yeah.
is a significant change. And is there anything special about what has been adjusted as far as the algorithm in October, do you think? Or is it just, this is how long it takes? Why October?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a number of reasons, right? Like we kind of already touched on it, but it could be, October getting into that. Maybe more people. I know a lot of places. I mean, depending on where you are right now, a lot of places in North America are having more lockdowns put into place. So maybe more people are on their computers. Could be due, holiday season. A lot of people tend to spend more time on their computers. Could be due to that, or it could. I mean, a portion of it, I'd like to think, is due a bit to the upgrade. And sometimes that, in this case, sometimes that traffic doesn't come as like consistently, right? It doesn't look like that chart that goes slowly up. Sometimes you see like a big bump, and then maybe sometimes that bump goes down and then back up, and then it ends up, instead of being like that, it ends up being kind of like this.
Well, I will say too that neither of these articles is holiday related. So
No,
neither of
right.
these
I know that, yeah.
articles is going to get any boost from Thanksgiving or Christmas or Black Friday. I mean, these
Right.
articles are evergreen type things that will be the same in July as they would be in December.
Mhm.
And I didn't see any bump in the pandemic traffic in the spring, which is
Mhm.
why October in itself was just so interesting. And it made me think that maybe there was an adjustment with the update, and for the first time, it's some sort of update, right? Because there's somebody back there pulling levers all the time. It seems like from
Mhm.
day to day, something new is happening. And for the first time ever, this article caught the positive side of maybe one of those adjustments because the content was better than it was before in some way.
Mhm.
I just thought it was interesting that October was it.
Yeah, it kind of is interesting because, yeah, you're right. It's not something that would see, like you said, it's not something that would see some random bump during the holiday seasons or any type of holiday. So I think, I mean, I'd like to think it is part of the upgrade, that it is seeing that bump, but because it is such kind of a significant bump and not as a steady of a climb, it could be due to a number of things. It could be just due to one other thing, like an external factor. But I know, so from our end, the process was similar to how we did the other posts and how we do all of our upgrades, upgrading the content, adding content, checking links, all that stuff. So it could be due to that, and maybe it just had some sort of delay in terms of seeing a bit more traffic. Yeah, no, and again, this is kind of where that looking at the results of what we do can be, it can provide you with answers, but still not enough answers, right? Like you can see the bumps in traffic or the increase in keywords, but then understanding why it happened is still, most likely always going to be a mystery, or to some extent a bit of a mystery. But I mean, it is from our perspective, if we're able to produce those results for you, then we're happy with it. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see where it is, like end of December, if it's
Or even into spring of next year, because we know
yeah,
that there's going to be some changes coming soon, very
right.
soon, with the algorithm. And I wasn't calling you out for October, like, oh, like this wasn't the result of your
Yeah,
work in some way, because this particular URL has never performed. And I
right,
don't think
right.
that, I mean, not just like performed badly, it's literally performed like nothing. And
Yeah.
so if we hadn't done anything to it, I think it would have continued to perform nothing and would not have gotten any sort of benefit from any sort of update in the future. So it wasn't like a critical thing like, oh, like this is just the algorithm. We can't take credit for this. Because I legitimately think that the improvements did produce, maybe it provided this article with the chance to write out the benefit of an update, whereas before it had zero.
Right. Yeah.
Zero chance of doing well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see, because both of the articles performed the best in October and then look to be correcting a little bit for November. And so you could argue maybe that this is Google testing them.
Right. Yeah, it could be. That could be it. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens in November, if it evens out or not. Or if it takes a significant drop, but I guess we're almost at the end of November here.
Yeah, I don't see a significant drop, as far as like back down to January, back down to 24, because that's article 1 was at 24 in January. So it's definitely not going to there, but you wonder if it will correct and then if it will stabilize or if it will ride the wave out and turn into something completely different next year.
Hopefully it does. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens going into the spring.
Yeah, no, I think it's super interesting, and I really appreciate that you gave me a chance to do this. I actually did learn quite a bit from this, and it's actually inspired me to go back and start working on some content that I had produced on some of my other sites that just never did as well as I would have liked to, versus going and just cranking out more new stuff. It makes me want to go back and work on all the old stuff, because I see that it can be worthwhile to go back and work on the old stuff, especially because I've learned so much more since I produced that original content. And a lot of people say, don't bother, just crank out new stuff, just keep putting out new stuff. And that old stuff has some value. I don't think I should just trash it, because not doing anything with it is essentially the equivalent of throwing it in the garbage, in my opinion. It's just letting it be on the floor and being zero and just continuing to let it be zero.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think, and I agree, I think a lot of people say, just keep pumping out fresh content, like consistent fresh content will get you, traffic. And that's not wrong. That's completely right. But so every now and then jumping back into your old content and, you're not rejuvenating every single piece of content, but, you jump back in and you check out your analytics, see where traffic was going, check out which content can potentially be updated. Maybe people have a bunch of content sitting there. It's like, yeah, okay, this was old. This probably doesn't need an update. But there's probably a bunch of content sitting there that can be updated for a lot of people. And a lot of the time that's easier than creating fresh content, right? Like you already have, it's like having like a template already and you can just add to it. And I think perspective of, instead of upgrading content, think of it as like taking an old piece of content and creating a new piece of content out of it. That's just, it's almost the same and probably a bit easier because you already have something there to work with for a lot of people.
Well, I want to talk about 2 things next. And one of those things, and today we're recording this, it's November 25th, 2020. And you mentioned that there might be a Black Friday deal with Content Refined. And then I also wanted to talk about giving away essentially the similar experience that what I had, because I believe when we talked about it before, you wanted to actually give away some upgrades. And so let's start with the Black Friday deal. And then I want to talk about how we are going to facilitate a giveaway.
Yeah. So Black Friday deal, we have it coming up this Friday, and I'll share details with you and you can, but basically it's, every year we try and do some sort of Black Friday deal for everyone. Generally it's our biggest promotion of the year. And so this year what we're doing is 30% off all of our bulk content, which means 6-month content or 12-month content. So if you're someone that's looking for content for the next 6 months, like going into spring, or just to be planned out for the next year, that's something we do in terms of content creation. We can basically get everything set up for you. We do all the content planning, all the keyword research, obviously write all the content, optimize it, all that stuff, publish it to your site as well.
So you even go into my WordPress and then just do it for me?
Yeah, we do. We try and make everything as hands off as possible for you or whoever we work with, but then still have, complete oversight of what's going on your site and what's being created. So we still review everything with you and then get it done ourselves. So 30% off all that. And then, speaking of upgrades, we're also doing 50% off all our upgrades.
Okay, so 30. So if somebody were to be making a large investment in content in 2021, a 30% off deal could be a lot of money. That could be a lot of money if somebody was planning on spending 2, 3, 4, 5 grand, and then they're going to get 30% off. That could be. Is there a cap?
As to how much you can buy? No, I might regret saying that. No, I mean technically no, but go purchase all of it if you want. Sorry, I was going to say, so no, but we always do, whenever someone purchases content, we always try and get it done within the year. So we don't have someone purchasing content and then 3 years from now, they're still working on it.
So maybe there is a cap. We just don't, it'll be on a we just don't know what that is yet. I guess we'll know it when we see it, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then the content upgrades. So those are 50% off?
Yeah, 50% off content upgrades for Black Friday, starting Friday, and that'll go until I believe Monday is the last day of November. So basically all weekend.
All right. So now let's do the giveaway. So what I know is you are willing and excited to give away 2 upgrades. So 2 people are going to get the chance to go through and do what I did or had that experience, which is consulting with you to pick out a URL to upgrade and then going through the process of getting suggestions, what can be done to it, having the service done, and then getting to watch it. And how we are going to get that done is actually pick 2 winners from the comments on this video. So if you want to be entered into, I don't want to call it a contest, if you want to be considered for the giveaway, what you'll need to do is go down into the comments of this video before November 30th, because he's going to be coming to the comments on November 30th of this video and picking out someone from down there in the comments. And what you'll just need to say in your comment is something to the effect of, I'm in, I want to be entered into the giveaway. Please pick me, Narcissus. Please. And then you'll just have to pick Narcissus from whichever comments look compelling. I don't even know what strategy you will use in order to do that, but I'm going to push the burden to you to make that call, because I'm terrible at picking out winners. I want to give away stuff to everybody.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, maybe I'll choose like the most creative comments or something like that.
Okay, well, there you go. The 2 most creative comments and of course it's going to be subjective because you're going to get to decide
right, yeah.
Which is creative. But yes, go and get his attention in the comments, and then for a chance to win Content Refine upgrades. Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you think we should know about, or where to find you, or where to find more about your service?
Yeah, so if you want to check out our services, our pricing, what we're about, you can visit contentrefine.com. If anyone has any questions after watching this and just wants to chat with me, I'm always available, through my email. Happy to book a call with anyone. Not sales calls. Just if you want to jump on and chat with me, you can email me at narcissus@contentrefine.com. Always happy to book a call and jump on a call with people to chat. And I think that's about it. I think we covered everything we needed to. And yeah, check out the Black Friday deals.
Awesome. Well, one last thing before we go, I wanted to confirm, am I being paid for this?
No.
Am I an affiliate for your product?
Absolutely not.
No, this was for fun and for education and for learning. And I really do appreciate your time and allowing us basically as a community to go sort of through this experiment. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And thanks for having me on, Amelia.